Wait, no.
We're frozen.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Are you on until Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, no, but it was working earlier because
we tested it.
It's
like
yesterday.
What's up with your phone?
I don't know.
Girlfriend?
It was fine.
All right, hi everyone on YouTube.
Hi.
We are currently testing our. Oh no.
Oh, super fun. This is awesome.
Hi, Christopher Mino says hello, you awesome
Hey.
people. Hi.
Let me try it on.
You can
Okay.
try it on yours.
I'm not connected to
We're also trying to go live on Fangirls Going Rogue Facebook page, just to let you know. And then in a bit, I'll press record on that. Now, unfortunately, I can't see.
Oh, hey, we're working.
Oh, we're working.
It's working.
Yay.
Okay. Sorry.
We did it.
There you go.
Oh, look at all my holy light right here.
All right.
All right. Okay, so we're live. So you know what? I'm gonna press record on here.
Live.
Bam.
Live.
All right.
Now
we got
is it
sound.
still? Is it going?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
we're
Yes,
going.
it's going.
We're going, and then here we go. We got the opening, and I'll be reaching in periodically. But okay.
And we have to
All
talk
right.
a lot louder than normal.
Well, no, not necessarily. No, it's just gonna sound a little hollow. But what can you do? All right.
Nothing really.
So we can start anytime.
Hi, everybody. Okay, are y'all ready for this?
Yes.
Everybody ready? Everybody
Yes.
ready?
Teresa, don't mess it
We're
up.
all in the same room. Oh.
Thanks. Thank you.
That was a nicer way of saying what you were thinking, I'm sure.
Ready?
Okay.
Yeah. Woo! We can actually do it this time.
No, we're
No?
not. No, we're not.
I've never been a cheerleader. In the band.
Ever.
In the band.
Ever.
Yes.
Well, no, I take it back. I was a pep squad in 6th grade.
Oh, okay.
That was bad. Anyway. Ready?
Yes.
Welcome, Yub Cubs, to episode 50 of Fangirls Going Rogue. I'm Teresa Delgado, one of your hosts, and with me are my two awesome fangirl co-hosts, Trisha Barr from Fangirl Blog. What's up?
Oh my God, we're here. We're
And-
doing it. We're recording together.
And in person, it's
I know.
weird.
We're usually opposite sides of the country doing time zones. No problem.
Yep, and we also have, of course, Sarah Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland.
Hi, everyone! Yay! This is so exciting being in the same room. I love it. And we're like 23 floors up in Seattle. It's beautiful.
And I will say, we are definitely more made up than we would normally be. Because we'd normally be in, like, what, pajamas, no makeup, hair up in a ponytail, all that
Staring
stuff.
at our computer screens.
Exactly. So we are podcasting from Seattle. We are at Geek Girl Con, and we've had such a great time. We have more of the con today, but we wanted to do our show live for you guys for episode 50. And we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about our history. So, Trisha, why don't you start with,
We're going to
Where
be
we all started
4
from.
years old next year. So our first episode next month. That's how long it's been. And that's how old I am. I am almost 50 as well. So, but episode 1 was November 13th, 2013. So we were just getting into the Disney news and hope, and we had already talked. We had done the Rebels Europe coverage, and remember a Kathleen Kenny video, and that was so watched on YouTube. And we're like, let's just keep on doing this.
Yeah.
So then Sarah joined us at episode 15. She had been on episode 14, and that was in January of 2015. We're like, that was so much fun. Let's keep doing it.
Aw.
So we're still doing it, and we're at episode 50, and that is a milestone. Once a month, and sometimes a little more. We have You Talk, We Listen as well, and several priority transmissions in between there, and some live episodes. So we are ready to just get into kind of what was fun with Geek Girl Con this year and what we got to do. So we have a special guest to bring on.
Well, before we do have one of our group that's missing. Sandra Shute, she isn't here with us. She's running our social media for us and stuff right now, but she officially joined us back at Celebration Anaheim.
Yes.
And so she's been a part of the team now for what, almost 2 years?
15, 16, 17. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
almost
2 years.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about Sandra.
Yes.
Because she made us cry here at Geek Girl Con.
She did.
We
It's
got
very
to
true.
screen the footage for Looking for Leia at their panel yesterday. And Sandra, there is no better representative for what Star Wars can do for somebody and elevate them up. And she elevates everybody up because, you know, she's keeping everybody happy. But Annalise, why don't you come on and we'll talk a little Star Wars?
Yeah, we have a super special guest. So Annalise Ophelian, actually from Looking for Leia, is here with us right now. So we're gonna squish in here.
It's gonna get real comfy.
I'm gonna get super small.
I'm gonna fix my hair in your camera.
Sounds good. Because that's how girls do stuff.
Beautiful purple hair.
Beautiful purple hair.
Thank you very much.
We wanted Annalise, we're going to talk about Looking for Leia, but we want to talk a couple things because you are a director and a film person. And Ryan Johnson tweeted on Instagram that he wrapped episode 8. Is that crazy, like that early?
It is so crazy.
I mean, I'm thinking I got to ask Annalise because this is he's done.
I saw that and I was like, hashtag professional life goals. Like,
right?
Really, it's such a, as a filmmaker, I look at that and I'm just like, wow, I can't begin to imagine how tight that set and that production was. For a feature that has that kind of location shooting, the degree of practical effects they're using, and the amount of visual effects they're doing, and the amount of time that they used to execute it in. And this is not to say that when productions go over, when there are reshoots, when, you know, I think edits were being made on The Force Awakens like the first week of December, right? And that happens. And there's so many things to do.
Bad.
It isn't at all. Like, you do it until it's right. And it doesn't matter how that happens, just make sure it ends up right.
But he feels like it's right.
But yeah, I'm looking at that going like that, there's some efficiency in production there that I'm fangirling over as a filmmaker.
Do you know when he did that? So that was like mid-September?
Yeah.
Wow. And the movie doesn't come out, of course, till December.
I know, right?
So September.
The only thing my only comparison is like on the Bake Off or on Project Runway when like there's the one person who finishes and is like, well, I'm just gonna have some tea and file my nails while everybody else is like sweating into their ovens. That's what it seems like. I just like to imagine Ryan sitting back with like tea and a biscuit.
He's probably having a drink because he's got to think for a couple months about how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's also sitting there watching everybody buy his porgs, and he's like, I'm done.
Yeah, my work here is done.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Completely done.
And can we say they're his porgs? He's created
they're his porgs.
It's amazing.
They're his porgs.
It's amazing.
We also,
right.
we also got J.J. Abrams announced for episode 9, and it's not that unusual to have directors come in and out of movies. We just seem to be more aware of it as...
I think there's also, it's easy, I mean, as a director, I'm going to say, it's easy to overestimate the role of a director. So I can speak this because I'm speaking from within my field.
Yeah, that's why we want to talk to you.
A director is an incredibly important, directors and producers are incredibly important showrunners. We helm things. We have an incredible task of basically being a coordinator for a huge team of people. The team of people makes the movie. And it is sort of egotistical and silly to think that a director makes a movie because the number of human beings putting not just like emotional labor but like physical labor into creating film is massive, particularly on these big tentpole projects. So you want a good helmsman. You want that captain of the ship to really be a person who keeps morale up, who works very well. And then of course on the Star Wars movies, these are movies that are happening from within one of the most significant and again massive is the only word I can use production studios in sort of modern cinema history. So you don't have an apparatus that is for the India tour who's just gonna like do their own thing with their own money. You have a story group that's being incredibly hard. You have a story group that's tasked with keeping 40 years worth of material together. You have so many moving parts. So yeah, if a part of the team doesn't work, you fix it. And you fix it at whatever stage you need to make sure that your outcome is good. 3 weeks
out, whatever you need to do.
I have no doubt that was a horrible decision for everyone who had to make it. But also, like, yeah, great, fix it. Do the thing you need to do.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, I mean, as far as J.J. Abrams coming back onto the project, I mean, I know we all have different opinions about it. I'll just kind of start with mine. I was actually thinking about that when they got the news that Colin Trevorrow, that's what I call him because I don't know what the heck his last name actually is, was removed. I was relieved about that. And then I was thinking, okay, so who are we going to get? Like, where is this going to go? And part of me said, well, The Force Awakens was amazing. I really, really loved it. If JJ came back, I think it would be a really great end cap because he can finish Rey's story, which he started. But then I started thinking, well, what if it's Ryan Johnson? Because we've heard a lot of good stuff, but again, we haven't seen episode 8 yet. And so I think Ryan Johnson's going to be really integral on episode 9 and getting the script done and working with JJ, you know, because it seems like they're very collaborative people, but I'm so okay with it. And I know Trisha, you were really hoping that we'd have a female director
or a writer, you know, to have a sequel trilogy be about a female character, and Leia was supposed to be so integral to 9, and whether she is or isn't, we don't know. But you know, we haven't had anything but white men tell this story, and at some point it needs to happen. You just have to make it happen. And I felt like, well, maybe they'll make it happen this time. And you know, there's a lot of playing safe and not wanting to risk things. So, you know, there is some disappointment in my heart. And I actually talk at great length with my Fangirl blog team on Hyperspace Theories that we just put up today. So you can really get into kind of the meat of why Trevorrow went, the reasons, you know, they've been talking to the trades about why the decision was made, and what I hope. I mean, J.J. Abrams is not known for finishing anything. He even admits that he likes to start things. He doesn't necessarily finish things. So this will be his challenge of his spirit to find that in him.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I know, yes, white males may be writing and directing, but hopefully they are influenced by the women in their lives. Like, look at Dave Filoni, who is heavily influenced by his wife in a lot of things he does, and thank goodness for that. I mean, Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars both feature, you know, strong female characters that are amazing and that we have all fallen in love with.
Yeah, and J.J. Abrams has written many great female characters over the years. So, you know, I have a, you know, I'm excited, but it's not excited if it could have been somebody else. So it's, you know, but you just have to know that they're on a tight timeline and they're doing what they're going to do.
How do you feel about JJ coming back into the film?
I mean, I think it's a logical choice. I think that they were doing something admirable in trying to bring new talent in, and also I think it. I can't imagine the feeling after 2 of those directors really not working out, and not working out for things that sound like very similar reasons. And I want to just like call it that it also feels like there's a lot of struggle there around what happens when there's a woman at the head of the most powerful production company in the world, and that as a woman who makes films, I can tell you that the disrespect and dismissal of women's expertise in film is pervasive, and so finding folks who are going to work well under that helm is a challenge, and that seems ridiculous because I feel like people should be lining up a block to work for Kathleen Kennedy, but I think also there's a thing around who's going to work well in that setting. Yep. So yeah, they're going to go with the known quantity. They're going to go with the person they know they work well with. I also know that JJ's talked about liking to start, not finish projects, but then I like to think that there's so much support from the production company, right? Because he's got all of Lucasfilm there, and the story group and everybody. I think
they do have ideas. Yeah. You know, they have ideas, so and it's not like he has to create everybody like he did last time. So he can spend more time on the story.
Yeah, a lot of world building has been done. I think he did a beautiful piece of world building on that first one, especially for those of us who grew up with the originals and were so happy to see things through. You know, I'm looking forward to the moment where we can press past exceptionalism and into this sort of genuine showing up throughout production roles in film for women and for women of color and for folks that are not white cis het men, right? Like this is to say most people, right? Like let's just like break it down on a numbers level, that this tiny group of people has been so overwhelmingly predominant in all show running. And so Patty Jenkins and Eva DuVernay end up getting everything heaped upon them because they are the only directors that folks can name, and also because they then have to be the exemplary, you know, examples of their stuff. And I want there to be enough women making film. I want there to be enough folks living at intersections of identities. So like every possible permutation that we can be mediocre and mess up and work again. Exactly. When we can do that, then we will have reached something.
Well, we can make like an After Earth and get to write Rogue One.
Exactly.
You know, people don't talk about that, right? You know, or even there's just so many times where you look at people, well, they made a dud. I mean, Star Trek Into Darkness was a dud, but it doesn't get held against J.J. Abrams.
I don't want to have to be a risk. I don't want to have to be something that someone...
Or all the weight of every person of color or woman is on your shoulder. Like what happens if, and if you don't
if
make
that
the right
gets
choice.
to you.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, if you don't make the right choice once, that's like a huge tick against you. Depending on who you are.
And even when folks are successful, I think what happens then is those franchises get handed to someone else. Like Catherine Hardwicke created arguably one of the most successful, kicked off one of the most successful franchises in YA film history. She arguably started for Twilight, right?
Okay.
She arguably started the genre of these YA books being adapted into films that were massively successful, and then they gave the rest of the franchise to
And then she couldn't get a gig.
And she couldn't work again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and we actually got a comment because we are doing this live on Facebook and YouTube. Scott Murray actually wanted to know from us, does it worry you that they seem to be allowing the directors and writers to make it up as they go?
I don't believe that is happening for a minute.
I really don't. I really, really don't.
Again, Story Group, right? They have a whole team.
I think there's a plan.
There's a holocron.
Yeah.
We know this.
I think there's a plan at least.
I mean,
holocron keeper.
We have a Leland Chi who's actually watching, and so I don't think they're making it up as they go. I think maybe the script is being adjusted, but the framework of what we're putting where, that's done. Just a matter of how we're doing
how you get there.
How you get to
how
that
you
point.
get there.
Well, and let's reframe this. Making it up as you go in science fiction is called world building.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really critical part of story creation. So yeah, I would hope that they are hiring folks that are going to be contributing to the world building, because that's what we've all signed up for. And what's fascinating about Star Wars is that up until recently, we had 40 years of world building that was overwhelmingly done by fans.
Yep.
Yes.
And so, of course,
Sure.
we're bristling now that a studio's taking it on, not because the world building is necessarily better or worse, but just because there are more cooks in the kitchen now.
Yes.
There's more people doing world building, and our headcanon doesn't have the production budget that the studio actually
Yeah,
has.
sure, right? No, you could do that in your mind, but we can't do it in the film because it would just cost too much money. That's what screenwriters have to do, right? Make sure it's doable.
Well, one of the most exciting things right now about Star Wars is the fact that most of the people working on Star Wars right now are fans, and like whether they be voice actors, whether they be part of the creative team, whether there's a directors, like they all grew up being Star Wars fans, and so it's a very important, like they know the importance of it.
I think that's a natural segue to talking about one of the biggest fan boys who's bringing their show to a conclusion.
Yeah?
Oh, jeez. Yes, so Star Wars Rebels premieres in a couple weeks on October 16th. And we're going to talk about that just in a second. But we have a little voice message. You guys that are watching live, you're not going to see this or hear this. But we have a little voice message from somebody that is very near and dear to our hearts, Vanessa Marshall. 5. Okay.
These are my Leku.
So you guys can interpret what you want from what she said there, but it
sounds like there's going to be more to come on our show.
There might be some stuff coming up in October that everybody wants to hear that we're very excited
I'm so
about.
excited. You got to cosplay. You get to cosplay with you were green or blue?
I was green. So Zena Duncan from the UK, who's a professional costumier, and one of the participants in Looking for Leia, as a part of the film, right? It's for science and filmmaking, not just for my own personal gratification. I've never done full cosplay, and I'm talking to all these cosplayers and like the intersection between cosplay and identity and what it's like to do it. So she has created one of her spectacular kind of screen ready Heras, and I got to put on the Leku and do the paint. And she was doing Numa. She just finished building her Numa.
How do you feel when you put it all on?
When I'm by myself, it just is transformative and amazing, and I love it. And the being green is great. Like I practice the makeup in my house because I'll have these days where I'm just like I cannot log footage any longer. I'm gonna paint myself green. But then when I put the Leku on and I have the costume on, the Leku interestingly are a kind of sensory deprivation. And Zena was telling stories of how folks at cons like to pull you by the Leku or grab you. And I did immediately feel more vulnerable in that way that I was like, right, I now feel much more available for folks to just sort of, grab like they would a toy on the shelf. And they impede your movement a little bit because you have these head tentacles,
Yes.
And they have their latex, and they've got kind of moving stuffing in them, and so it's great and also kind of vulnerable. And I'm interested to wear it out for the first time,
awesome.
like in a big public place.
What's great about Jedi Tink is the wings honestly impede people touching you.
That's the hope. But do they touch the wings? Do folks ever grab your wings?
No. I think they know it's like fragile. But like if they try to like awkwardly put their arm around your waist or something, it's like, oh, there's wings there.
Deny.
Yes.
I am excited about both pants and pockets.
Yeah.
I think what I love about Star Wars cosplay are the infinite number of opportunities to cosplay in pants and flats.
Yes.
Well, and hair was much appreciated because if you were going to have that, be a Twi'lek, you had to wear the little skimpy outfit.
Mm-hmm.
This is a different, you get to be the pilot. Obviously, she's the woman in charge. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, yeah.
It's her
Best
show.
pilot in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Sorry,
She's
Poe.
also she's also a great
And
character to be able to Disney bound because she's so color blocked that it's easy to do. I actually just got a beanie that I can use, so I'm like, I need to put it together.
You need to come to Mickey's Halloween party.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What else is today?
Today it's October 1st, right? So October 1st.
First day of Halloween.
Where's she?
No.
No. Well, not for the rest of the world, yes. But October 1st, we are getting the next wave of Forces of Destiny.
Woo!
Look at her! Yay, we're so excited. So I guess there will be airing a 30-minute special. Hopefully it'll air on YouTube so that we can watch it together, and we will film our live reactions to that. So
yeah, I'm really excited. And what's interesting, I just saw today, Ashley Eckstein is actually at Disney World at Magic Kingdom, and she's taken over the @OhMyDisney Instagram. You guys need to go take a look. She's taken it over in her Ahsoka Forces of Destiny shirt that she released, and to celebrate Forces of Destiny. So she's actually doing stuff for it. And I did see a tweet from Tracy Canobio as we were starting up today that Maz Kanata is in what we're going to be looking at today.
So excited.
So great.
Oh my gosh, guys. So
Yeah, everybody yay.
I hope Han is in it too, but we'll see.
Well, we
see.
know we will get two older Han
Yes.
and a younger Han. We're going to get 4 new episodes, and then again at the end of the month, another 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think a lot of Star Wars things are coming. I don't know if Mark Hamill, he deleted that tweet that said we should be watching something Monday Night Football
on October 9th.
So, this may be a big week to have reactions. So we're really excited.
So podcasters, gear up.
Yeah, get your mics ready. Get your mics ready.
Exactly. All right. So Leia's excited.
She is. She's super, super excited.
So let's listen to another voicemail from a listener.
Cool. So this one was about conversation, so I figured good segue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Michael, so much, and we're so flattered by what you said. So with that, I think we should get into our main discussion.
Yeah, so again, we are at Geek Girl Con. That's kind of like why we're all here. And so, Annalise, we kind of wanted to know for you, how has the con been, and what has been one of your favorite moments so far?
We've really loved filming at this con. So we filmed at Celebration in April. We filmed at D23, and we filmed here. Conventions are tricky to actually go in and film, and we are a pretty tight crew, right? We're scrappy, right? So really large cons can be especially difficult. And one of the things I love about Geek Girl Con, first of all, their mission is exquisite. And if you've not had the chance to read the Geek Girl Con mission, it's on their website, and it makes you feel like you've just had kind of really nice affirmative therapy to read it, right? Where you're just this is my place. In the same way that I love going to Celebration because it's a Star Wars specific convention and I want to go to all the things, I love being at Geek Girl Con because it is a geek space that centers women's experiences, and it centers women's experiences in this very appropriate, intersectional, and excellent way. It is super understanding that when we say women, we're not talking just about sort of cis-het white women between 18 and 24 who are able-bodied. We're talking about women, and that includes all kinds of women. And I feel that in this con. and in the presentations and the panel topics, none of which I've been able to go to because we're filming. And when you film, I'm so excited to come back next year. So I just love being here and seeing the huge spectrum of ages and interests. And then we did a panel yesterday, and we premiered some new footage. And everybody cried, but it was happy crying, and that made me feel good because I've been on my own with my team with this footage since April, just going over it. And we cry all the time, but it's often equal parts genuine emotion and nervous exhaustion, because this process is a very arduous one. So it was nice to see that people are emotionally resonating.
Well, you had Jamala Henderson. A lot of the people that I know, Henderson, who's going to be on the Star Wars panel this afternoon, who is a wonderful person. And you had Maggie Wakaska, who I interviewed for Star Wars Insider. You guys might remember that article about Fangirls being around all along. And she's just an enormous resource of talking about, yes, they've been there all along. And then obviously Sandra was on there. And, we know her story, that, what Star Wars has made a difference for her. And Jonah, your co-host from Galactica. Her mom is so cute in that footage. Is she not the most adorable?
Getting to watch, and so a lot of these are folks too that I came in contact with or found in research online. So I heard Rebels chat before ever getting to meet folks in person, then was able to meet Jonah Marie at Celebration, but then getting to actually film her and Maria, her mother, doing the podcast was really special. And they've actually aired the podcast we filmed, so you can hear this amazing sort of pop quiz that Jonah Marie gave her mother around Rebels, but also these questions were hard, they were amazing, and they were subjective as well. They were who would you choose, or what would your favorite be? But it showed also such a mutual love for material and the way they've come together to spend time celebrating and enjoying their love of Rebels, the animated series, was super special.
Well, and one of the special parts I really liked about the footage that we saw is Sky Talkers are on there, and recently they've kind of encountered some not so awesome stuff on social media, and I know I think you have also. We have joined together as a women's community of fangirls to lift them up and to shut down what people were doing that was negative. And I love that they talk about being labeled as the prequel show, because they are young. They're younger than me.
They're 10 years younger, I think. They're in their mid-20s.
Yeah, they're in their mid-20s. So they're about 10 years younger than me and you. And it's I don't want that happening to them, because they for me, they're my babies. They're my children. Come on,
It's so important for every age group to get their voice and to have a means to talk about it, because otherwise they won't recognize if just one group talks about it, you don't get to see what all the other important things, that Padme and handmaidens mean something to people. So you have to have, we're all different levels, and we like different things, but it's important to talk about that, and you
learn from each other that way.
Yes.
And you learn to appreciate things.
Yes.
Well, and from that old screening we got to see it before, and I know from Teresa, and I knew there was one thing that was going to freak her out. So it was the My Little Pony Jedi.
Yes, and I tweeted you, and I was like, Pony Jedi, oh my gosh. And we're going to talk about it a little bit, but yes, that was one of the coolest ever things that I had no idea existed.
Our process, I use a sort of collaborative process in filmmaking where I talk with folks, people who speak with me on camera. I bring the footage back and I ask them to participate in a review, because there's a lot of subjectivity in editing, and it's important that, particularly when we're talking about folks who are chronically misrepresented or marginalized or left out of representation, you want to make sure that those folks are really central in telling you, yes, this is the correct representation, right? This gets to our sort of who gets to tell the story. And so the folks in that clip saw a very early review screening before we started